A pleasant welcome to all my dear 4th standard children. Today we are going to see the second part of your solar system. Yes, so in the first part you have learned what is solar system and what solar system consists of, and you also learned the name of the planets, right? And you also learned the special name of each planet. For example, Mercury is the smallest planet, Venus is the hottest planet, Earth is the red-blue planet, Mars is a red planet, Jupiter is the largest planet, Saturn is a ring planet, Neptune is the coldest planet, right. So, this is what you have learnt in the previous session. So, now in the second part, we are going to learn about natural satellites and what is star and the movements of Earth. And also you are going to learn the layers of Earth. So, we know that all planets have their own satellites. So, the natural satellite of Earth is Moon. So, we have one moon for Earth. So, the moon does not have its own light, but it glows because it reflects the sunlight that falls on it. So, that is why we can able to see the moon brightly in the night sky, right? But it does not have its own light. It does not have light. So, we can see the moon only when the sunlight falls on the moon. The reflection of the sunlight only we can able to see the moon, right? And the planets have their moons except two planets, Mercury and Venus. So, Mercury and Venus does not have moons. So, what are the moon planets that does not have moons? Mercury and Venus. There is no moon. So, both on Mercury and Venus there is no moon, right? Okay. Now, let us see about star. So, what is a star? So, stars are the huge ball of gases, right? So, it gives out high amount of heat as well as light. So, we can see tiny stars. The stars are very tiny from the earth. Why? Because the stars are very far away from the earth. So, that is why we can able to see stars as a tiny objects. But the star that is nearest to our earth is sun, right? And the stars appear to twinkle on the sky. During the night time, we see stars that are twinkling, right? Because of the gases that is burning inside the star. And we can see during the night time, sometimes there will be a group of stars, okay, that is present on the sky, which it looks like a forming a pattern or shape on the sky. So, that we call it as constellation. So, we can see constellation in the sky. So, what is constellation? So, constellations are the group of stars that form a pattern or shape on the sky. So, there are different constellations on the sky. So, for example, here you can see Ursa Major, Ursa Minor. So, these are all the constellations that is present on the sky. So, here you can see here one star, here one star, here one star. So, these stars form a shape. There is some pattern that exists here, right? So, this is known as Ursa Major, okay? And the other star you can see like this. So, this is Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, okay? So, likewise, we can see this group of stars, here one star, here one star. So, likewise, there are many stars that form a pattern or it forms a shape. So, this is known as Orion, right? And we can see here, when we look from the earth, so it looks like a bear. The pattern of the stars looks like a bear. So this is known as Great Bear. So these are all the constellations. So what is constellation? Constellations are the group of stars that form a shape or pattern on the sky. So these are the examples of constellations. Now the next one we are going to see about Earth. So we know that Earth is a very unique planet and we have life on Earth, right? And we can see the Earth is in a like a huge ball, is it? And the outer surface of the Earth is hard, whereas the inner part of the Earth is very hot, molten or hot, high temperature and pressure is there in the inner part of the Earth. So we can divide the Earth into 3 different layers, right? So the outer part of the Earth we call it as crust. So it is called it as crust. So crust is the outer part of the Earth where the continents, oceans lie on it. And when we travel again inside through the crust, we can see the second layer. The second layer is known as mantle layer. Right? So mantle, and the third layer is known as core. So the core has extremely high temperature and pressure. So at times, at places, this hot boiling gases or liquid comes out through the opening known as volcano. So through volcanoes, the hot liquid and gases comes out through the volcano. So these are the 3 layers of Earth. So what are the layers of Earth? Crust, mantle and core. So these are the 3 layers of the Earth. So now next we will going to see about the movements of Earth. So the Earth, we know that the Earth has its axis, right? So from North Pole to South Pole, the imaginary line that passes from North Pole to South Pole is known as axis, right? So the Earth undergoes 2 movements. So what are the 2 movements? One is rotation, the other one is revolution. So what is rotation? Rotation is nothing but the Earth spin on its axis is known as rotation. So here the in rotation the Earth spins from west to east. So as it spins from west to east, it spins on its axis, right? So with the help of axis, the Earth spins from west to east. For one rotation of Earth, the Earth takes 24 hours to complete one rotation, that is 1 day. So that causes day and night, right? The second one is revolution. So what is revolution? Revolution is nothing but when the Earth goes around, revolves around the sun in its orbit. So this is known as revolution. So for revolution, the Earth takes 365 1/4 days to complete one revolution, that is 1 year. Okay, now let's see in detail about rotation and revolution. So here you can see the rotation. So rotation you can see here. So there is a axis that is present here, right? So the imaginary line that passes from North Pole to South Pole, right? So the Earth rotates on its axis from west to east. The axis is the imaginary line that passes from North Pole to the South Pole, right? And here you can see the earth tilted its axis on the 23.5 degrees. So, the axis is not straight. So, the axis of the earth is little bit tilted at a degree of 23.5 degrees, right. So, it is slightly tilted, right, and the earth spins with the help of the axis. So, the part of the earth where the sunlight falls on the earth, so will have day, and the part of the earth that does not face the sun will have night, right. So, for this one rotation, the earth takes 24 hours, that is 1 day to complete one rotation. So, the rotation of the earth causes day and night. So, when it is day in India, so it will be night in the America, and when it is night in India, in America it will be daytime. So, the daytime and night time is caused due to the rotation of the earth. And the next one we will see revolution, right. So, the revolution of the earth. So, as the earth has its orbit, so on its orbit the earth revolves around the sun, right. And here you can see one more imaginary line that divides the earth into two equal halves. So, the imaginary line that passes from north pole to south pole is known as axis, and the imaginary line that divides the earth into two equal halves. So, here you can see the earth is divided into two equal halves. So, this we call it as equator. So, the equator divides the earth into two equal halves, and this one we call it as northern hemisphere, and this side we call it as southern hemisphere, right. So, as the earth is tilted at a degree of 23.5 degrees, the sun rays fall directly on the northern hemisphere as well as on the southern hemisphere, right. So, here it is not straight because of the because the earth is tilted. So, the sun rays fall on all the parts of the earth, right. Now, here you can see when the earth revolves, so season occur. So, here you can see because of this only, when the northern hemisphere has summer, the southern hemisphere will have winter. So, the sun rays fall directly on the northern hemisphere, thereby the sun rays will not fall directly on the southern hemisphere during that time. So, during that time the northern hemisphere will have summer and the southern hemisphere will have winter. So, here you can see this northern hemisphere will have summer and the southern hemisphere will have winter. For example, in India lies in the northern hemisphere. When it is summer in India, and Australia is in the southern hemisphere. So, during that time Australia will have winter. So, when it is summer in India, Australia will have winter, right. So, because of this only. Then you can see as the seasons occur due to the revolution, the seasons will not immediately change. It will change gradually, right. So, that is why you can see autumn season in between summer and winter, and spring season between winter and summer, right. So, after summer, when the earth revolves at this place, so the northern hemisphere will have autumn and the southern hemisphere will have spring. When the earth revolves at this place, the northern hemisphere will have winter and the southern hemisphere will have summer. And the earth revolves here, the northern hemisphere will have spring and the southern hemisphere will have autumn, right. So, the spring, during the spring and autumn season, the weather, it will not be too hot or not cold, okay. So, neither hot or not cold during the summer, during the spring season and autumn season. Whereas in summer season it will be very hot, but whereas in winter season it will be very cold. So this seasons changes very gradually, and because of the revolution of the earth, the season occur. So for this revolution, the earth will take 365 1/4 days to complete one revolution, that is 1 year. So this we call it as, this 1 year we call it as solar year. Right? So this is about revolution. Right? So in this part you have learned about what are the natural satellites, and you learned what is star, what is constellation, what are the examples of constellation, and you also learned the layers of earth and the movements of earth. What is rotation, what is revolution, what causes during rotation, what causes during revolution, right? So go through this lesson. Once you are thorough with this lesson, take the study material and copy in your science subject note and do the self-assessment. So once you do the self-assessment, you will come to know how far you have understood about the solar system. So with this, the solar system lesson is completed. So hope I will meet you with a new topic from your science subject. So hope this class is useful for you. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.